Meet Susie Salmon. She was just 14 when she was murdered on December 6, 1973. Susie is in the mall with her family, and they look at different toys. She is staring at a boy while pretending to read a magazine. Lynn asks her about him. His name is Ray Singh. And Lynn asks her if they had kissed yet, and tells her about her own first kiss when she was young. This was before the time people were worried about their kids, before the news was dominated by them, so it was a carefree world. But Susie was not safe. A man from her block was watching her, while she sat at a table looking at Ray. Susie remembers taking his photo while her parents were talking about the flowers from his garden. George was making sketches for a trap. He was going to build it underground in a cornfield. He soon starts to build it. Susie and Jack are also building, but they're making model ships in a bottle. She tells Jack her friend has a crush on him, but makes fun of him too for being an accountant. In the morning, Susie had already used up all the film they gave her, and her mom said no to develop all of them at once. But she keeps complaining, and they decide to develop one roll a month. As Susie and her sister Lindsay leave for school, Abigail gives her a hat she knitted. At school, Susie had just come out of a film class, and in the lockers she meets Ray. When her books fell, he helped her pick them up and slipped a note in there, and he asked her out on a date for Saturday. It was a good day for Susie. On her walk home, she crossed this field. The note fell out of her bag, and the wind was blowing it away. As she was chasing it, she ran into George. He talked to her and told her about the place he built underground. She gets convinced and follows him in. Inside the bunker, he shows her all sorts of things, and she seemed to like it, but she felt nervous, scared. Her face was visibly tense. He offers her a drink when she wants to leave and makes her stay. She runs up the ladder to escape, but he pulls her back down, and through the scuffle, Susie runs out of the cornfield past Ruth, who finds her note. During all of this, Susie's family were having dinner. When her parents asked where Susie was, her sister covered for her, saying she was at her film club and then at the mall. Susie's parents are now worried and call all over the town looking for her. Jack goes out looking for her, showing her picture to people. Susie is wandering in a dark and empty town. She sees her dad and calls out to him, but he can't hear her. She runs home, but it's empty. Abigail is at home, giving the police a description of Susie to the police. Susie walks through a bright door. It was all white inside, with a man taking a bath in filthy water with his face covered. There is dirty clothes, muddy shoes, and blood all on the floor. She spots her bracelet on the sink. It's George, and she screams until she disappears from the room. That morning, the police are at the cornfield and find Susie's hat. Detective Len tells her parents about it, and it makes Abigail cry. Jack comforts Abigail in their bed that night. George burns some clothes and cleans up his bathroom, making it spotless. The police knock on his door, and he stutters around to make himself look normal. They walk in and talk about Susie's disappearance, and he seems welcoming. They show him a picture, and he panics because her bracelet was sitting right on his workbench. The police looked around George's house, and he slowly gets the bracelet out of the view of the police when they look at his dollhouses. Susie is in an unusual dimension, with many different landscapes and scenes. She saw Ray and ran towards him, but she ended up in water, just as George tossed her bracelet into a river. Susie was consumed by the water as well. She wakes up in a forest on a gazebo, and she finds the note Ray gave her. That's when she meets Holly, who tells her to walk forward and not look back. Susie finds out that she wasn't in heaven yet. It was somewhere in between, but Susie couldn't go forward because she had unfinished business. Jack smashes all the bottles he had worked on with Susie, while Abigail holds her child. The family is saddened. Quickly in between, if you're enjoying this frightening story so far, why not subscribe to our channel and stay updated with more recaps like this? Holly tells Susie that she needs to let go, but Susie refuses and insists on needing to go home. George was feeling like he had gotten away with it, but Jack hadn't let go. When Susie found that out, she became happier and played around with Holly. Jack was holding Buckley when he saw her photo films, so he went over to develop them. This gave Jack an idea. Jack calls the detective. He tells him it had to be someone she knew who took her. Jack then invites Len over and tells him about all the people he thinks might have done it. This upsets Abigail, and Len tells him they need to take care of each other. So he calls Lynn and brings her to live with them and take care of the house and kids. When Lindsay was on a run with the dog, it stops and barks at George, who was in his car in the driveway. George tries to talk to Lindsay, but she doesn't respond to him, so he walks inside. Buckley was painting Lynn's nails when he tells her that Susie is not in heaven, but in the in-between, as he points to a picture on the wall. Susie is stuck there. Her only way out was to go to the greenhouse, George's house, but she was scared that she might never come out. George would follow teenagers in the cornfields and watch them because he wanted more. Abigail argues with her mother Lynn in the night. And that morning, Abigail packs her bags and leaves her family. Leaving a note for Jack, Abigail moves to work on a farm. George is in the house, looking through news clippings of Lindsay. He watches Lindsay as she is on her runs because she is suspecting him of something, so he makes another plan. Jack got the last roll of film developed and saw George in one of the photos. And he had a thought while he was working that it might be George. George is working on his new thing, carrying branches out of his garage. Jack catches him getting startled by something. He helps George and talks to him about the thing he was building. George lied and said it was for hunting ducks. Jack saw the flowers, then knew it was George who killed his daughter. That's when George asks him to leave, but Jack chases him down and breaks his door, accusing him. Len tells Jack to stop, but Lindsay comes to his support, but Jack seems to agree with Len. But that night he takes the bat over to George's house. Jack sees him going out into the night, so he follows him into the cornfield. But Jack runs into the teenagers that George was following, and the boy beats up Jack badly. This brings down the safe place that was around Susie. Jack was in the hospital with Lindsay. This showed Susie that Jack loved her this much, and she is the one that needed to let him go. This is when she walks into the house she dreaded. Susie followed a light in the house, and that's when she discovered it. George has done this before, she found them all. Sophie Sacchetti in 1960, Jackie Meyer 1967, Leah Fox 1969, Lana Johnson 1960, Flora Hernandez 1963, Denise Liang 1971, who also goes by Molly. And finally, Susie Salmon 1973, whose body was in the safe. Lynn and Lindsay are driving past George's house as he stares out the window. George is preparing his tools to go out again. Lindsay was on a run with a group of people when she spotted George leaving in his car. She pretends to feel tired and the others run off. That's when she sneaks to the back of George's house. She quietly breaks the glass window of the basement and climbs in. Lindsay looks around the living room, finding news clippings all over. George is coming back now. Lindsay goes back upstairs, still looking. She finds a loose floorboard, and in it she finds the notebook with the plans he drew up for the traps. But George is back now. He opens the door. He goes to the basement and sees the broken window. Then he hears Lindsay upstairs. When she closes the lid, George runs up the stairs. Lindsay jumps out the window and falls heavily, but she escapes with the notebook in her hands. George panics. He starts to collect everything. When Lindsay gets home looking for her dad, she finds her mom is back. Jack comes down the stairs and sees Abigail. They hug. Lindsay shows the notebook to Lynn. Immediately, the police are at George's house looking for him, but he has taken the safe with Susie's body in it to the farm with the sinkhole and pays the farmer. Susie is in the field again and she meets Flora there, who introduces her to all the other victims of George. She hugs and greets them all. They all are going to heaven together, but there is something holding back Susie. She went into the body of Ruth to feel being kissed by Ray just once. George dumps the safe with Susie's body in it into the sinkhole and drives away. Susie is at peace. She talks about the connections that had been made along the way because of her death. At a diner parking lot, a young girl is smoking. George comes up to her and offers her a ride. She says no, but he tries to convince her to take it. He didn't notice, but he was standing close to a ledge. He slips, falling down the cliff to his death. Abigail finally opens Susie's room. Susie was waiting for this moment. This was it, all that she needed. That's how today's recap comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed the video. Click the suggested video. I'm sure you will like it. See you in the next one.